Hello, everyone who watches this video. Today, I would like to tell you a story of Yunona Bukasova and her family, and tell you how she climbed Mount Elbrus, 5,642 meters, the highest mountain of Europe and Russia, at the age of 9 years and about 1 month old, in July 2012. How hard is Elbrus? How dangerous it is? The report tells that there are about 20,000 climbers there. And there is 30 deaths in 2016, so the mortality rate is 0.15%. Well, 1 in 700 climbers attempting the mountain or summiting the mountain dies. Well, it's much higher death rate than for climbing Kilimanjaro, at least 5 or more times. Even climbing Mount Denali is about as much dangerous. I would probably disagree with 20,000 climbers. I bet there are less, no more than 10,000. Since there is 100 days climbing season, and on average there should be less than 100 climbers. Summiting the mountain 5 times, I never seen more than 150 people around the summit, even at the best weather. But the number of deaths is probably less than 30. It's probably 15. In Soviet Union, the number oscillated between 10 and 25. Unfortunately, there is no good statistical record year after year, but well, it's about the same rate. 1 in 700 attempting the summit dies. However, by far most of those who die are newcomers, ill-prepared, ill-equipped, inexperienced. Well, it certainly was not the way how Yunona climbed. Beyond the fact that we took a guide, she was pretty well prepared for this mountain. So she put on crampons at the age of 3. First time she came to US in 2006 for half a year. Then she came to Utah 2007 and lived there until 2013. Then she went to Memphis for 1 year with her mother. So here at Brighton was her first experience in hiking in crampons. She's 3 years and whatever, several months old. Yunona was born in Kharkiv, the second largest city of Ukraine. Kharkiv is a kind of Soviet Seattle. Number 7 in population in Soviet Union, population of about 1.6 million, but number 3 by the number of universities, by the number of students. Kharkiv had more students than Kyiv, while Kyiv was larger by factor 1.5, even at Soviet Union time. There is the best Shevchenko monument in this city, in the world probably. And there's a Kharkiv National University with a monument to 3 Nobel Prize winners who worked or studied in Kharkiv. It's Mechnikov, Landau, and Kuznets. Kharkiv has the largest square in Europe. Now it's called Svobody Square. At Soviet Union time, it was Dzerzhinsky Square. Now you can see what happened to it after Russian invasion. You can see the economical department of Kharkiv National University on fire after being bombed or shelled by Russia. And now there is 2,000 buildings that completely or partially damaged or destroyed. About 500,000 people left Kharkiv since the beginning of war. But let's go back to Yunona. She started hiking at the age of 3 when she came to US, to Salt Lake City. Probably her third mountain was Mount Timpanogos, 3,582 meters. She hiked it to the top with no carrying, nobody carried her. It's 15 miles round trip, 1,360 meter elevation gain, 4,500 feet. All the way to the top she went by herself. On the way down, I carried her about 2 or 3 kilometers, but no more than this. At the same time, I carried Dales. That's her sister. It's still Mount Timpanogos. The amazing fact, not only she likely set the age record for this mountain at the age of 3, but we did it while we did not have any car. We could not afford having cars at that time. We lived somewhere on the poverty line at that time. As a graduate student, my scholarship was the only source of our income. I was PhD student at chemistry department at that time. And we did it on bikes. We took a bus and we biked to the trailhead, carrying whatever, pulling kits. Well, we had enormous, unbelievable amount of energy at that time. At 2007, when Yunona was not even 4 years old, 3 years, 11 months old, we had a vacation trip to Ukraine and Russia. And Yunona hiked at slope of Mount Elbrus, hiked to 4,450 or 4,500 meters. It was quite windy there. She slept 2 nights at 4,070 meter elevation. And there are many, many other mountains that prepared her to Elbrus. At the age of 4, she hiked Mount Elbert, the highest fountaineer in Colorado. Not the hardest by any means, but it's still 1,500 meter, 1,500 meter elevation gain. It was about 12-hour hike. I don't remember exactly, maybe even 13-hour hike. So I carried Alice and Yunona hiked all the way to the top and all the way down. At the age of 5, she hiked Mount Whitney. She was pretty well prepared to it. Just in immediate preparation to hiking Mount Whitney, she hiked 3 times Beacon Mountain with total 6,000 feet elevation gain. Each hike is, each time it's 2,000 feet elevation gain. Then she hiked Wheeler Peak. And in the early July, not far from Independence Day, something like this, she hiked 22 miles in 1 day from the campground to the summit. We probably would, we would certainly do it in 2 days if we could. There is no spots in the campground that we could book. It's really hard to get a permit from Mount Whitney. There is a lottery there. Even for day hike, it was hard to get it. It took 18 hours, 40 minutes. After this, I contacted 2 TV channels. I got back a letter inviting me for interview. On the local news, ABC News, we had the video about Yunona hiking Mount Whitney. We even went to Lake Blanchette trailhead to film, to whatever, to shoot this news. Shortly after this, the journalist from ABC, national ABC, contacted me and took interview from me, and this news was published in August 5. Sky is the limit for 5-year-old hiker. Yunona was even interviewed for a couple of national TV shows. She failed the casting. I would be extremely surprised if she wouldn't. She just started speaking English. Her native language was Russian. She started reading in Russian at the time already, but she was not still very confident in English. And what any 5-year-old can tell you, how entertaining he or she could be. Anyway, one of two emails led me to that I sent about the news of her hiking Mount Whitney, got some not only local but a national coverage for this event in USA. Here are some pictures from her hike of Mount Whitney. Again, 22 miles, 35 kilometers in 18 hours, 40 minutes in a single day. I carried her just 10 minutes on the way down, practically in the last hour of the hike, somewhere after 17 hours, 30 minutes of hiking. Well, just 2 kilometers, maybe 2.5 kilometers from the end of the hike, from trailhead. She started whining at the time. I tried to carry her. I only could do it for 10 minutes since I fell into the stream, which was a good news for me actually, because this stream I remember was not very far from trailhead, maybe a mile, maybe a bit more. But on the other hand, it was clear that I'm too tired to safely carry her. There was no need to carry her anymore. So that's it. How much I could carry in 10 minutes? Definitely less than 1 kilometer. So obviously it was not anything even like 3% of the total distance that I carried her on the way down. So she did it. She did it by herself. She did it without complaining for 90 plus percent of the trail. It was pretty amazing achievement for 5 years old. But again, she was well prepared, and it was not out of nowhere. She had an experience before doing it. The youngest day hiker to summit Mount Whitney at the age of 5, you can see it on YouTube. In this presentation, there would be several slides that show the titles of YouTube video at the top, like this one. Well, she was preparing to Elbrus again from the age of 3. In this way, it was not conscious preparation. We just hiked. She enjoyed hiking, and we just hiked, including mountains that are much more technical than Mount Whitney, that require scrambling and even or climbing skills. Like Twin Peaks Broad Fork, there was some exposure here, but she did it quite well. Here she is at this mountain. Even at the age of 5, she already was a confident scrambler and with no fears of the height. That is Twin Peaks Broad Forks summit. That is Pfefferhorn, first time, maybe not first time. She hiked more than once those mountains. For the first time, it was at the age of 3. This probably at the age of 4. That is Mount Olympus at the age of 5, but first time she did it at the age of 3. Now here I'm pretty confident in Yunona. I am not following her like 1 or 2 meters behind. She is a good scrambler already. Again, age of 5. I can afford taking pictures of her while climbing. In the same year, she led, no, not I led, but she kind of inspired her sister Alice, who was 3 years old as well when she hiked Mount Olympus with 1,200 meter elevation gain and some scrambling in Utah. Here is American Peak, Twin Peaks Broad Fork in Little Cottonwood Canyon. North on the peak, not an easy mountain, by no means. About 6,000, close to 6,000 feet elevation gain. Maybe a bit less, but definitely more than 5,000. And it's a lot of scrambling, a lot. And it's wild. There is no good trail to the summit. He hiked 2-3 dozen mountains, but the crown achievement of your rock climbing and scrambling skills was the Capitol Peak. Capitol Peak is the hardest fortiner in Colorado. Some people may disagree with it, but the knife edge is the scariest route to any scariest classical route to any fortiner, any of 54, something like this, fortiner in Colorado. She hiked Long's Peak at the age of 6, obviously without rope. Her greatest achievement that she did it without rope. Actually, one American girl did all fortiners at the age of 7. All fortiners in Colorado, but she used rope. I've been just the next step to her here, but it was challenging for me as well, actually. So it was harder than I thought before start hiking. We did it with Scott Patterson, who got the second highest rank on summitpost.org. And here is Scott Patterson's son. He did it with us. He did it also without a rope. He is 8 years old, who felt himself a bit more comfortable than Yunona. I confess that he is more confident. So he was more confident. On the loose rock, he had better skills of climbing on the loose rock. But we did it anyway. This kind of a competition or cooperation actually whatever. It helped both of us, I think, to get our children to the summit. Here is one more picture from Capitol Peak, and there is a YouTube video, Capitol Peak climb by Yunona Bukasova, youngest climber of the mountain. There are many other mountains, like this one, Peak Superior in Little Cottonwood Canyon over Snowbird. Here is the Devil's Tower in Utah. Yunona and Alice 8 and 6. Here is a view from the Devil's Tower when I was hiked with Yunona. We hiked a few trails and national parks. Here is the Grinnell Glacier overlook. We did it with 4 children. One several months, another one 2 years old, and Yunona and Alice 8 and 6. A 550 meter 1800 feet elevation gain, 11.2 kilometer trail. There is another hike. Well, there are at least several I took with Yunona and Elbrus. Redwood National Park, California. Zion National Park, probably hike to Angel Landing. You see, we took Peter, who was just several months there, maybe 5-6 months, maybe 6 months. The view from Angel Landing, Zion National Park, Utah. Wyoming, Grand Teton National Park, Joshua Tree National Park, California. We hiked to about 26, 28 National Park, plus Yunona hiked in Hawaii. So she probably visited 33 National Park and hiked in vast majority of them. I visited some National Park more than 5 times. I visited 36 National Park in USA. Here is Corona Arch near Canyon Vents, Peter Ellis and Yunona near Moab. Here is Delicate Arch in Arches National Park, Utah. It's just 3 miles round trip. But I know 3 PhD in chemistry who visited the park. They all lived in Salt Lake City for years. They visited the park, but they never came close to the arch. Some of them were happy just looking, whatever, 1 kilometer down from some overlook from the car park at this arch. Well, all kids went there from the age of 4 and above. Some of them several times. Monument Valley, Arizona. Well, we just were not focused on collecting national parks, obviously. We hiked and visited many other locations. Like this one is the Wave. It's iconic, the Wave, on the border of Arizona and Utah. It's in Arizona, actually. It's very common picture. Very famous location, the Wave. We met a few wild animals. I suspect that we at least heard, well, we've seen some bear-like shadows, but I have no video or photos of it. But here there are some of the encounters with an encounter with a wild animal, but there were more than several of those kind of encounters. It's Olympic National Park, Washington State. Yunona hiked at least 3 ultra endurance hiked in Grand Canyon, going down to Colorado River. She did it by herself, then she did it with Elbrus, and finally both of them did 42 kilometers in 17 hours north to south rim hike, a single day hike. The hike took 17 hours. And the amazing part that 5 years old do not whine, do not cry for at least 16 hours. It was the case with Yunona, it was the case with Elbrus. She started whining just 1 hour before the end of the hike, 1 hour within the trailhead, when it was dark, actually. If the day would be a bit longer, I think we might even come back without any whining and crying or whatever. Obviously, it's quite an endurance feat. And likely Elbrus was the youngest, and she is the youngest who ever did it. But it's a teamwork. Yunona supported her. And I think they had more fun hiking together, definitely. Not only we did north to south, we actually came on the side trail to the waterfall, making an extra 1.5 miles, something like this, maybe 2 miles. Obviously, experience of my kids in US is not limited. Our travel experience was not limited just to national parks or some national monuments or whatever. Here is Getty Center, Los Angeles, California. They visited most of the best art museums, art collection in USA, including National Gallery later and Metropolitan and so forth. Here is Exploratorium in San Francisco. And the most understandable achievement of Yunona, it's your study of math. It's hard not to use word wunderkind about her, but it's a result of hard work. She started studying math with me at the age of 5. She learned multiplication table like in 30, 40 days, but it was not a table. She just calculated it in her head using her fingers. And at the age of 5 and 3 months, she could square 16 correctly. She squared 14s and 15s and 16 correctly. Again, she did not memorize multiplication table. She calculated it. She multiplied number of grams in 1 pound by 8 at the age of 5.5. At the age of 6, we start doing scientific notation with her and some operation of nanoscale. The 6.5, she already did conversion of scientific notation, squaring nanometers, microns, converting those units. Most of chemistry students nowadays cannot do it, and the vast majority of chemistry students in relatively good university could not do it. I mean, not just in Kazakhstan, but I bet elsewhere. What she did at the age of 6. At the age of 7, she started studying math by herself, basically. She learned how to solve quadratic equations in 2 methods at the age of 7, with no help from me. She got the book. She was asked to do this number of problems, and she did it. And at the age of 9, just for sake of curiosity, she took ACT test. It was not at the age of 9, actually. She was 8 years, 11 months old, not even age of 9. You see, her math score is 897 percentile. It means only one child out of 30, not one college-bound high school student is better than Yunona at the age of 9 in math. She outperformed 29 out of 30 college-bound students who are about 2 times older than she is. She did well not only in math, she did well above the average in English, 68 percentile, in reading, 60 percentile, in science, 56 percentile. She never took any science. At the age of 9, there are no science taught at school. And we did not somehow specifically study. There were some books she read them about science, I mean, but some specific studying of sciences was not at the table at that time. She prepared herself completely by herself. I mean, completely probably not correct word. She had no day-to-day help from me or from her mother. Moreover, when she moved to Memphis, at that time she studied at Gifted Children program. at a school in Salt Lake City, where she was promoted like no one in the history of the COC, Salt Lake City School District. She was not only moved to Gifted Children program, but promoted simultaneously by 1 year. She took IQ test at the age of 10 years, 5 months old. And she got incredible score in math, 190. 6 standard deviation above the average. What does it mean? With standard deviation 15, it means that she is really 6 standard deviation above the average. That's 1 in a billion high score. 1 in a billion. She moved in Kazakhstan in next year. And it's very likely that when she set foot in Kazakhstan, she got the highest IQ score among every person who ever took professionally administered IQ score. It's not likely to change in any foreseeable future, not in my lifetime, not in her lifetime. Again, it's a meaning of IQ. It describes how rare this result. And 6 standard deviations means 1 in a billion. So let's go back to her climbing Mount Elbrus. She climbed at the age of 9, and it was posted on July 25, 2012 on YouTube. This video was posted. And even when I was in Russia, I contacted 17 media outlets, TV channels, newspapers. I didn't have a Russian keyboard, so I wrote email in English. The mail were repeatable. That was something like this. There were pictures. Kid Super Hiker, where there are plenty of videos and photos of her previous climbs. The link to her article about her climbing Mount Whitney, her results of ACT score, well, plenty of information to get interested for those journalists who work in Russian media. I got no answer, absolutely none. Out of 17 media sources, 15 in Russia, 2 in Ukraine. Okay. What about your siblings? Wow, Elbrus achieved amazing feats in hiking as well. And even Peter, not even Peter, Peter started the earliest, the youngest. At the age of 2 and 7 months old, he got to Mount Berchtesgaden. It's 14, it's almost 4,300 meters. 4,000, whatever, 280 meters. Elevation gain is about 840 meters here. It's not a small elevation gain. Here is summitpost.org. I had a profile there. I posted. He did it at July 3, 2011. It's interesting that on the way down, he got tired. He wanted to sleep. We just put some clothes on the ground, covered him. He slept maybe 20-25 minutes and went down, not complaining or whatever. He was fine after this, just after sleeping for 20-25 minutes. I was not so surprised, actually. It's natural reaction of both children and adults to altitude. They get adapted. Children get adapted as well, even better than adults. At the age of 4, he hiked Mount Massive, the second highest fourteener of Colorado, with 1,500 meter elevation gain. Here he is in the summit. Obviously, his sisters not so grown up, but they were leaders for Peter, leaders and helpers to me. He hiked in Argentina, in Bolivia. At the age of 7, he got to 5,300 meters. You see here my 3 kids and my wife at Peak Austria. Again, you can watch this video on YouTube, Peak Austria, Bolivia, our 2016 summer vacation. At the age of 8, we tried for Peter to climb Mount Elbrus. I hired a guide, Oksana Marinova, who climbed 2 or 3 8,000 meters mountain, including Annapurna. She put up weight after this. She broke a leg, got some accident. So she changed from her best times, but well, she was still a guide. Yeah. Peter passed 20 climbers, and only 2 climbers passed us before the saddle. He was really, really fast. We start climbing from Ratrak stop about 4,700, but it still would leave us with 940 meters of elevation gain to the summit. And the way above the saddle was pretty windy. Very windy. There was no rope at that time here. And I counted on Oksana Marinova promise to bring a harness and the rope, obviously. She said, I have no rope, no summit. No, sorry, no harness. So she deceived me, basically, in her professional function, taking care for. Obviously, I hired her for this purpose. She made some pretty fake excuses that Peter was not trained how to use the ice axe, how to fall with ice axe, which total nonsense. Again, I climbed it 5 times to the summit, and I never used ice axe. She never used ice axe in my presence. Apparently, you see ice axe behind her back. He doesn't use ice axe here. I never tried. Later, she was more frank. She thought I would be blown away. I could be blown away. If I got Peter, I could be blown away. Why we hire a guide? It's an interesting question. Yeah, we were Peter was well acclimatized, and the same summer I decided to go back with Peter to Mount Elbrus. Before this, I flew to Elbrus. I climbed it again by myself. First time I climbed it by myself in 2004 without guides. I refreshed this experience 2017. And in August, we returned with Peter there. He climbed to the summit. It was not as easy as months and a half before. Acclimatization was a bit shorter. He threw up at the saddle. After throwing up, he was fine, actually. So he did it confidently. You can see the video. I took 20 minutes of video. I don't know anybody so far who took himself not hiring somebody or whatever, who took care of a client and took 20 minutes of video on a way. I improvised to make some kind of harness. He did not use actually it, but there was a rope at that time, and there was a good weather. So basically, even without rope, it was possible to climb. There was no wind like this, like it was before. So you can see it on YouTube. 8 years old boy, Peter Bukasov, the youngest climber of Mount Elbrus. Again, this is the title of YouTube video. And now I sent about the same number of emails. Now those emails were in Russian, no English. 8 years old boy, the youngest climber of Mount Elbrus in history. And here is the email, it's in Russian. I write here about Yunona Bukasova, about your video, about Alice, and I write that news about Peter climbing Mount Elbrus could inspire multitude of parents and children in Russia and beyond its borders. Inspire for more active, healthier, and more ambitious way of life. And not only in relationship to alpinism or hiking, but in relationship to other physical or intellectual endeavors. On the other hand, I understand that good news about citizens of Ukraine, and even more about citizens of USA in Russian media today are probably not in trend. I was absolutely right. Nobody answered. I don't know whether they not answered because Peter was USA citizen or because his parents are Ukrainians or because they are just whatever, lazy to read it, or but it's a fact. Nobody answered. Soon he climbed Ojos del Salado, 6,893 meters, the second highest mountain in the Western Hemisphere, the highest volcano in the Western Hemisphere. At the age of 9 years, 1 month. I didn't make the Ojos del Salado. I was standing and taking this video just 40 meters below the summit. I didn't want to spend any time to delay his ascending and descending the summit and to distracting of two guides from accompanying my son. Alice hiked it at the age of 11. She's the youngest girl who did it, Ojos del Salado. She also did it without me. I was slower than she was at the 6,500. I decided to go down and she went to the summit with a guide, with Mateos. We got pretty good guides from Argentina. She hiked Ojos 3 times. So only from the 3rd time, she managed to summit it. First time she did it at the age of 9. She got to 6,400 meters elevation. It was too cold for her. At the time we decided to go down. So maybe news media in Russia and other countries do not care about children climbing mountains. Maybe nobody cares about children climbing mountains. Yep, that's an easy explanation why nobody answered in Russia about the whatever information about the youngest climber of Elbrus. There are 29 million of adults hike in USA. In 2008, it's 14% of adult population. Climbing is the most advanced form of hiking. I think it's a pretty solid statement. When you have high elevation, you need to put a lot of willpower to be well prepared, to be highly adaptable, to do it. I heard many times some positive remarks from adult hikers in USA. Hundreds of positive remarks. One of them, like, you inspired us. It was not a very high mountain. It was on Olympus, just 2,700 meters. What one man can do, another can do. It's my favorite quote from On the Edge movie, one of my favorite movies with Anthony Hopkins. So if a child can do it, an adult can do it. This news can inspire not only children, it can inspire adults to do it. If 8-year-old can do it, why you cannot hike Elbrus? And apparently, Russian mass media pay some attention to children climbing Elbrus. A schoolboy without preparation, schoolboy from Kabardino-Balkaria Republic, without preparation, set a record. 10 years old Ali Misirov, with a group of alpinists, climbed Mount Elbrus and became the youngest alpinist conquering the highest mountain of Europe. It's TASS, the major news outlet of Russia, published it. Schoolboy from Kabardino-Balkaria set a record in climbing Elbrus. Ali Misirov became the youngest alpinist who conquered this summit. Did they really check this information? I don't know. Did they lie it consciously or unconsciously? When I sent an email about Yunona, I really searched in the internet for the youngest climber of Elbrus. I found a 10 years old American boy who did it. I wrote about it in the email. Apparently, they made no effort. It's a fake news. He is not the youngest climber by any means. Yep. But apparently they are interested. They are interested in the youngest climber of Elbrus. Here is an interesting question of values. Who climbed Elbrus? Who never climbed Elbrus? Who climbed mountains? Putin never climbed Elbrus or anything serious. And he was a president of Russia from age 47, 48. Not that old. Obviously, he had such a support that it wouldn't take much effort for him to do it or whatever, to be moved to the summit of the Elbrus somehow. And it would give a lot of PR, whatever, positive PR here. Again, Elbrus not only the highest mountain of Russia, but it's the highest mountain of Europe. And Putin definitely likes to be at the top of Europe, above Europe. Yeah. Nazarbayev, for instance, hiked 4,000-meter Abai peak. It's not such a high mountain as Elbrus, but it's not easy. And he did it at the age of 55. Obviously, there was a team of professional mountain climber who escorted him there, helped him. But there is a question of values. It's not a question of endurance or stamina. Yeah. If you are president of Russia, it's not that much about your endurance. Yeah. Interesting that the assassinated Russian opposition leader Boris Nemtsov, who was strongly against the annexation of Crimea, and who was again killed in 2015. He climbed in 2010 at the age of 50 and 51. And he did it with Alfred Koch, former vice prime minister of Russia. Now he's also in opposition. He's German citizen. Current opposition prominent figure, Ilya Yashin, who still lives in Russia. He tried to climb it with Nemtsov. He tried to climb it and he got to 4,900 meters. They climb it from north side. Actually, it's harder route than south side, than the classical route. Actually, Yunona tried to climb it from north side as well at the age of 8, before she did it at the age of 9. She got to 5,000 meters. It was extremely cold, extremely windy, and we decided to go down. Again, it's not a question of endurance, it's a question of values. Yashin tried, Nemtsov and Koch succeeded, but their values were directed for Elbrus. The most powerful person in Russia never even showed a picture of himself on Elbrus. Yeah. In India, climbing Elbrus for children becomes very popular. 9-year-old Indian girl becomes the youngest to climb Mount Elbrus, 2017. Well, first, I don't know. I could not find her birth date. There is 90% probability or more than she is older than Yunona when she climbed it, when she claimed to climb it. I don't trust this news much. This picture could be photoshopped, and I found no video, absolutely no video, except something like from this place. From this place is 4,100, less than 4,400 meters. It's just above the refuge of 11. Yep. So no pictures on the saddle, no pictures on the way to the summit. Nothing I could find for this. The video from well below the 4,500 meters. And this picture still, she got the audience from Indian Prime Minister. Family hails from Surat, India. Yeah. So she got a lot of mass media coverage in India. Again, attention from the second most populated country of the world, economically by GDP, gross GDP, not per capita, obviously. One of the top 4 or 5 countries in the world. And even before she climbed it, they did this kind of a poster, yeah, encouraged by our honorable Prime Minister. Indian family all set to climb Mount Russia. Even intentions to climb came with this poster. So obviously, if they do poster just even before climbing it, they could Photoshop some summit photos. So in the absence of any video from the summit, I would not believe it, to be honest. And well, there are younger and younger Indians climbing Mount Elbrus. 8-year-old boy climbing Mount Elbrus. This video, and actually there is video you can find on YouTube. This video is taken at 3,900, well below the refuge of 11 refuges. That is refuge, it's 4,070 meters. And the summit picture, whatever, you can't identify the summit here. No way. No video anywhere near the south, near the summit. No identifiable features on the summit. And again, it can be photoshopped, even if it were more summit-like. It can be photoshopped. No proof of climbing Mount Elbrus at all. That is more realistic picture. This one is not photoshopped, I bet. It's just a cable car top station. Yeah. Another case, 6 years old, Indian boy climbing Mount Elbrus. Makawao Extreme. Is it not the same company that Oksana Renewal works for? I don't remember exactly. I'm not sure, but maybe. Well, there is the oxygen mask here, which makes the claim of climbing Mount Elbrus a fake, actually, because it's not a summit that you're supposed to climb with oxygen. Yep, it's a fake. To climb it with oxygen, it's a fake. The video, they have a video on YouTube. It starts from this spot. And previously you see boys, whatever, in hands of one of the guide. It looks like he was carried and he was gently walking up at this point. And there is just 100 meters elevation gain, maybe 120, 130 meters. And yes, on video, he walks this last 100 meters with oxygen mask, like this. Yep. And just look here. There are no crampons here. So wait, Mount Elbrus, it's hard to hike without crampons. Very hard. You can do it probably. I never did it without crampons. Oh, I tried and failed to do it in bad crampons when I was very young, when I was young. Yeah. But I assure you that without crampons, it's hard. It's easy to carry a boy without crampons. I agree. You don't need crampons while you carry a boy. Yeah. But if this boy climbed to the mountain from 4,700, 4,800 meters, whatever, he needs to have a crampons. Absolutely. If he doesn't have crampons, he didn't climb it. Almost certainly he was carried. He was carried there. And the last 100-meter elevation gain show with oxygen mask, it was just a show. Yunona put on crampons again at the age of 3. At the age of 3 and 11 months, she was quite confident there. I don't actually remember her tearing anything with those crampons. I bet her sister at the age of whatever, 16 or 15, tore a little bit something, or I tore some once upon a time, some pants with crampons or whatever. She was fine. She was as good at wearing crampons as any adult I know. No problems for 4 years old to use crampons. Again, I would return to my failure to reach the summit while I video record the last stretch before the summit of Hojas del Salada and my 9 years old son scrambling to the summit. But I managed to climb Lenina Peak, 7,134 meters, definitely much more difficult mountain. Not much, but more difficult mountain than Hojas del Salada or Aconcagua. Obviously without oxygen. And you can see a video about it on the summit, Lenina Peak Summit. In English, there is a Russian name, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan. I can be proud not only to do it, but to do it with body mass index more than 30, even on a summit day. Honestly, I was 112 kilo, about body mass index about 34, 35 when I came to base camp. I lost 20 kilograms in 17 days before the summit. Still, I was obese, not even overweight. Not so many people climb above 7,134 meters. My estimate, something between 40, 50,000, maybe even less. In Wikipedia, you can count that 10,000 people climbed 8,000 meters mountain. There is a list of people for each mountain. Everest is responsible for half of those climbers. And I bet that less than 1% of those who did it are as much obese as I am. You have plenty of problems if you're obese and doing this. Yep. And just this weight requires oxygen. You need oxygen to supply to your muscles, whatever, to your fat, to anything. We try to continue our traditions in the family. Victor, born in Kazakhstan, summited tourist peak 3,156 meters at the age of 4. We hired the guide, the Deshka, Boris, very good guide, prominent mountain climber, alpinist in Almaty, Kazakhstan. He won Golden Ice Axe. It's a kind of Nobel Prize in mountain climbing and alpinism. A few years ago in 2000 something, but still he is a great guide. So let's go back to Yunona's video and see how Yunona actually climbed Mount Elbrus. The video from 2012. She came from USA, from Salt Lake City, and we went back even not visiting Ukraine when she did it. I have limited time to do it. And here is the video from Mount Elbrus.